So in this video I'm going to show you how to make what I would call like a visual wiki where you can have images that link to each other. So in this case I have this image and I can sort of click on different parts like this embryo in the womb and get to a different page. And once I'm here I can click, for example, this, and as you hear this would play in a sound, and then click it again to make it go away. And this doesn't have a link back, but basically we can invent our links everywhere. So I have this little tiny thing here that's also linked. We get this nice city map. We can sort of hunt for links. This one's linked. And then here we can say, oh, we click this text and we go back to the index. And this also goes back to here. So we can basically make a sort of mystery thing where everything's linked together. And you can imagine that these links are, or these images are much more about the story that links these things together. So how would you do that? Well, the first thing that you need to do is basically get some images. So I have some images here. This DaVinci folder contains the images that you just saw. And the idea is to upload those images and to create something that's called an image map. Now, image maps exist for a long time already on the web. They're very useful because they allow you to basically specify parts of the image where you can click on, and that's what we're going to do. Now, they're kind of cumbersome to do by hand because you have to have the X and Y coordinates exactly correct, but by using this website it's much easier. So I have these images on my computer, so I'm going to do select images from my PC, go to the DaVinci image and select the one that I want to start with, which is this one. I click open, and now that I have this image loaded, I can here have a bunch of shapes that are connected to this image. So for example, when I want to make sure that this links, I can choose, do I want to make this into a rectangle shape, a circle shape, or a polygon shape? In this case, it sort of looks like a circle, so I'm going to choose circle. Now, it doesn't support dragging, unfortunately, so you have to click two times, one time for the center of the circle and one time for the outside of the circle. And then if the positions are not entirely correct, you can still drag these things around if you want. So this sort of looks okay. And then you type the name of where you want to link this to. And this is the name of the page. So basically, what your site is going to look like is a bunch of pages where each page is just this image with some layout if you want. So this might link to child.html. And the target, you don't have to set the title, you don't have to set, and that's it. And then you select a new area on the page, so a new thing on the image that you want to highlight. So for example, I wanted to highlight this small building, so I'm choosing a polygon and sort of clicking these points of the polygon to make sure that I match this shape, sort of. Okay, and then I type like building.html. And these pages don't exist yet. I have to make them, right? So I'll create a new area, and this one's going to be a rectangle. And that's basically this whole section is like nodes.html or something. Okay, cool. So I have 3 image areas that I've defined on my map. Now I can choose show me the code. And this is the code that I will need to copy and paste in my page. So leave that here for now, and I'll go to Visual Studio Code and set up the basic of my project. So in Visual Studio Code, I'm going to create a new folder. So click open folder, go to the desktop and make a new folder, like my Visual Wiki. Create, open that empty folder. And now I'm going to create a new file called index.html. And this index.html will contain my image and then also the image map here. So what I'm going to do is first type exclamation mark to have Emmet complete this, and now I click this or press tab or enter to actually write the basic of my document. I'll leave this here set to document, but you probably can invent a better name here. And then immediately I'm also going to link to a style sheet. So I'm going to type link, and here I'm going to make that style sheet first. So I'll make a new folder CSS and make a new file inside there called main.css. And this is just going to be my basic style sheet. Actually, it doesn't have to have much. The only thing that I want here is to have images have a max weight of 100 for now. That's it. Oh yeah, and also maybe for the body, because I want these images to appear in the middle, I want the body to be a display flex, and then justify content set to center, and align items set to center as well. So that aligns everything in the middle. So now if I type something here, maybe wrap that into a tag like hello. I can open my live server here. I have it installed, but sometimes it doesn't show up. Then I go to command palette and type live server. And that opens it up, and there you see it says hello. Now, it doesn't link the style sheet, so this is a good test here, because we want the style sheet to appear here, but it's not linked here yet. So I can type CSS, and it auto-completes because I have this extension, which is called Path IntelliSense, this one, that actually allows me to complete paths, so that's really useful. Okay, and now if we refresh, we see that it's here. It's not in the dead center. That's because our body page is not the full height yet. So we can say the minimum height should be 100 view height, and now it appears right in the middle where we want it to. Oh, and also set the margin to 0 maybe. Yeah, so we don't have any margins if we don't need them, or scroll bars. Okay, but obviously we want to replace this with our image. So we'll go here to our Finder, and again, these are our images. So we're going to go to our Visual Wiki, create a new folder called Images, and then basically copy these images into that folder so that they're available here. Okay. And image maps, the way that they work, you can see in the code here, is it's just an image tag that has this extra attribute called useMap, and that links to an image map with the same name. So this one's called image map, so this one should be called image map. So we can copy and paste this code, but note that it's really important to understand that there's nothing special about this. So this image source is just like a normal image, and so that also means that this now doesn't really work. It shows this broken image because our image is not in the same folder as our index.html file. Instead, it's in the images folder. So we have to write images / and then it's going to complete here. And now we see this image, and we should also be able to click on any of these areas. So if we click here, we go to this new page. And as you can see, it says, I can't find that file because we don't have it yet. But this is our basic setup. So we just copy and pasted the whole thing. And now it's up to us to start making the next page. So I'll create child.html. And here we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to select an image, go back to our desktop. Yeah, that's the one actually I want. This one is my child.html. And here I can specify another element here. So this is my rectangle. And the idea was here to play a sound. So I'll show you how that works. It's a bit different than the other one, but I'll show you how that can work because we're not really linking to a page. But I'll do that in a minute because I first want to set up the basics of this whole thing. So again, remember, these are normal image tags, so we just have to append images so it maps to the right position. And so now going back to our document, we can now click this part and we get to this new section. However, this doesn't work yet. Oh, wait, it does because this is another version. So this works, and now we see child.html. Note that here in this page, we probably also want a style sheet. So every page should have the same structure basically, so that this appears in the middle. And now if we click this, it says I can't see sound.html. And we'll fix that in a minute. We'll quickly do the other ones as well. Same principle. We select an image, like this map. We select areas that we want, maybe the circle here. That goes back to index.html. And then we have a new area, which is a rectangle, which is this part, that goes to nodes.html. And then we show the code again, we copy and paste that. And here, that's going to link to building.html. We wrote building.html, but let's call it map.html. Note that we can just change stuff, right? This is our page, so we can do whatever we want. So map.html is this one. We are going to let Emmet do its work. Copy and paste the style sheet from another page, and then copy and paste the image map code here into map.html. And then append images here as well. Images. Okay, so going back to our document, we can now go to image, index, sorry, and then clicking this little building. Actually, let's make sure that it's saved. Yeah, so clicking this little building should go to map.html. So this one wasn't refreshed yet. Cool, so we're here. We can click this to go back. So this is back and forth. And then that links to notes.html, which we don't have yet. So again, same principle, notes.html. We can copy and paste everything from another site if we want. We only need to replace the image map. So let's get rid of this and prepare that. And then upload our final image, which was this one, this codex. So these are our nodes basically. And here we're also going to create a rectangle that if we click these nodes, we're going to go back to index.html. So it's nice if we make a system like this that we always link back. Okay. And of course you can make this as expansive as you want, so you can make any number of pages to basically expand this whole thing. Okay, finally what I want to show you is how to do audio. So I have an audio fragment here stored somewhere. I'm going to quickly find that in sound, and I'll put a link to that. It's just a free sound that I have, so let's call it sounds, sample sound. So that's the one you just heard, or you should be able to hear. It doesn't play here, but you can use MP3 or OGG, that works as well. And the idea here is that if we click this child, so going back to our index, if we click the child and we click the child here, then we play the sound. So this is, the page is called child.html, so child.html, that's here. And here the idea is to have a little bit of JavaScript that actually plays the sound. So instead of having this area, you can see this as a link. And just as with normal links, you can use JavaScript to intervene a little bit. So we can say, okay, select an element, and we're going to give this area a name. We're going to call this area like play sound or something. The href actually goes to nothing. And now we can say, well, the area that has the ID, so with the hashtag, the idea play sound, we're going to select that and add an event listener. We're going to listen to a click event. And now this is going to call a function. This function takes one parameter, the event itself. And the first thing that we're going to do is prevent default. So we're not going to follow that link. We're not going to go to that link. And now we're going to make a sound and then play it. So we can say we have an audio element. We can set the source of that audio element to sounds/sample sound. This one. And then we can do audio.play. So that plays the audio. And normally now if we refresh and we click, you hear the sound. Now we can't really stop it yet. We can keep playing, but we can't stop it because there's no stop button here. It just keeps playing. And in fact, if you click it multiple times, it will keep playing that same sound over and over. So we're going to do this a bit different here. We're going to say the audio is going to go here. And we're going to set that source already here so it can load that audio file. But then when we click the button, there are actually two states that we can have it in. And an audio can be playing or it can be paused. So an audio object can be in playing state or not. And so we can ask if the audio is paused. That means that the audio is not playing. In that case, we play the audio. And else, we do audio.pause. And so now it will play and pause, as you will hear. And now clicking again, it paused the audio. Now, if we click next time, it will just continue from that part. Maybe you want that, but there might be a different way to do that as well. So we can look at that audio element here. So this is the element that we have. And you can see that it also has like a current time. So this is the time in seconds where that audio fragment is. And this is useful because we can set it back to 0. So here in audio pause, we can say audio current time equals 0, and that's going to reset that time. And that makes sure that whenever we play, it's going to restart from the beginning. So refreshing that page, we click again, and now it's basically rewinded that audio fragment. So the next time I click, we get that back. Cool. So this is very simply how we make a wiki where every page is connected. This works really well, especially if everything links to something else, and it sort of keeps it refreshing and fresh on how you make this site. One interesting thing is always to make sure that you can go back to where you came from, or at least find some way that you're not stuck, so that you don't have to use the back button, because that sort of breaks the story or whatever you're trying to tell. But apart from that, it works really well. The image map site that I showed you is really useful. The only problem here is that you can't actually go back and change another one. So if you have to do it again, you basically have to do it again. That's a bit unfortunate. There are some ways around it. For example, if you want to create a new section on this one, for the embryo in the womb, for example, what you can do is just select the new section that you want. So maybe, for example, I want to do a polygon where I select this part here. And link that up, show me the code, and then just copy and paste only this part. So in index, we just copy and paste that new area that we've created and just leave the rest intact. That works, and that allows you to actually change your site without redoing the whole thing. So now this thing links as well. Of course, the page doesn't exist yet. So that's one minus point, but there's a workaround, as I showed you. And that's it. Have fun with image maps.